The second round of federal stimulus has been widely debated and massively talked about. A lot of Americans will be relying on this stimulus to make it through with their rent payments, buying food, and paying their bills. But there are a lot of deadlines fast approaching, and it looks like this second round of stimulus might not get here soon enough to actually help out the Americans that need it. So let's take a look at some of these fast approaching dates that are really going to be very painful when they hit, and they're coming at the end of July. So the first date is going to be July 31st, and that's when federal unemployment benefits are ending. But to a lot of Americans' surprise, these are actually going to be ending sooner than the 31st. They're going to end on the 25th or the 26th, and that's because states pay out benefits on Saturdays and Sundays, but the end date for federal stimulus is on a Friday the 31st, so that actually ends up pushing that end date up for a lot of states, and it's going to hit the average American a lot harder and a lot sooner than expected. Now, unfortunately, this date also correlates with the end of a federal eviction moratorium. And basically what this is doing is it is pausing evictions for all landlords that have federal-backed loans. So if you want to evict a tenant, you cannot do so until July 25th. And unfortunately, it looks like those tenants might not be able to pay after July 25th without this additional $600 a week of federal unemployment benefits. Now, with these dates quickly approaching, Senate is actually going to be taking a vacation. That's right, from July 3rd to July 17th, Senate will not be in office, so they can't debate this, they can't really take any action, and they can't move the ball forward and help this second stimulus to effectively occur sooner and get it into the hands of people that need it. Now, here's why this is particularly worrisome. I'm going to take a look at a letter from the Congressional Budget Office looking at this next wave of stimulus and what should be done about furthering federal unemployment benefits. Now, in this debate, in this letter, we're seeing a lot of reasons why this stimulus should not be extended, why Congress does not want to further extend it. And one of those is that while this stimulus may provide a boost in the second half of 2020, it's actually expected to lower economic output in 2021. So what you're doing is kind of kicking the can down the road for these harsh economic realities that are about to set in. Furthermore, the letter actually also outlines that 5 out of 6 people receive more than full-time income with the expanded unemployment. And so basically they're receiving more money that they can be using to pay those bills, pay those expenses, consume as consumers, but this is also not incentivizing them to get back to work. So while, as we mentioned earlier, that could lead to a boost in economic output for 2020, people have less incentive to get back to work when they are getting paid more than they would be getting paid. Now, if you read further in this letter, there are some alternatives discussed that could kind of mitigate that. And one of those is to have a scalable federal benefit program. So instead of just a flat rate of $600 per week for everybody, you would be giving federal benefits based upon your earnings before the pandemic. And so that way, instead of paying people more than they were making previously to stay at home, you're paying them more of an equivalent amount. And this at least would not reduce incentive to go back to work. But as we're continuing to read further in this letter, there's actually quite a bit of more troubling statements. And one of those is exactly what Congress might expect people to do during times of unemployment. And what they are saying is that the unemployment consume less and that they can draw from savings, they can sell stuff away like their assets, like cars, like jewelry, and that they can borrow from friends. And so this is apparently an alternative means, instead of providing some sort of federal benefits, just letting people, kind of just scrape their way out to meet those minimums that they need to continue living their life. And this is a very bleak scenario that's painted here that looks kind of scary for a lot of people that have been led to believe that federal stimulus is coming and is going to be amounting to a similar number, very similar to that $600 a week that they have been counting on in the past. So with all of this bleak news, and with the fact that the Senate is going to be on recess, they're not going to be really looking into this too much come July 3rd through the 17th, people really should be starting to prepare for what could happen. Now, it's not always healthy to look at the worst case scenario, but you should at least consider it. Consider if you are getting extra money coming in, what you should be putting away, what you should be budgeting for if you do have additional money on top of what you need for your rental payments, for your food, to pay your bills, how to put that money away and save it in case you do need it later on down the road. Now, another thing that I also encourage people to look at is what exactly you're allowed to earn in your state without getting taken off the state benefits and effectively getting taken off the federal unemployment benefits. And so in a lot of places, you can actually earn up to what the state is paying you. So let's say you're on pandemic unemployment assistance, which is provided to people that normally did not get unemployment benefits, and you're getting like $200 a week from the state of California or from the state of Washington. And then because you're getting that PUA from the state, you also qualify for the $600 in federal benefits. In those states, a lot of times you can actually earn up to that amount per week. So as long as you're earning under $200, you remain qualified for that weekly stimulus package. And so looking out to the future, if you haven't already been taking advantage of this, cautiously, making sure that you're not bringing in more income than what you should be, but just staying, close to or below that amount of what you're getting from the state. You should be looking at earning some extra income, picking up a side hustle, looking at different, app jobs and a way to create earnings during this period, and just putting that money away just in case. There's also a wide range of other federal programs available out there, some for small businesses, PPP loans, emergency loans, that you should absolutely be looking into. And there's definitely other stuff available to people who need money. But, in this worst case scenario where the Congressional Budget Office has outlined not extending that federal stimulus and, letting people kind of just figure things out themselves, what you have is a situation where people have a harder time getting credit because when that money's not coming in, you're already unemployed. Banks have a much more difficult time extending that credit and trusting that it's going to get paid back. So finding alternative means right now, researching all of those is going to be the best option. And make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be putting out some more content on those, some more ideas for ways that you can kind of financially secure yourself for the upcoming months.